Good morning. It's great to have all of you back. If you remember yesterday, we were working on the converting of feet to inches, inches to yards, yards to feet. We were doing all sorts of good things. So over here today on the independent practice, it gave us these tables here. And on these tables, it wants us to do that conversion again. So we need to figure out on number 3, we're going to figure out yards and how many feet. So again, we're going from something large like the yard to something small like the feet. So our number should be getting bigger, and the way a number gets bigger is to multiply. So what I'm going to do to help me out on this table is I'm going to draw my pretty little arrow here. Let me do it in green so it shows through better. And I'm going to remember that in order to get from yards to feet, I need to multiply. And the magic number that I need to remember is 3. So, either using mental math, a times table, or even a calculator, I need to know that I'm going to take my number of yards and I'm going to multiply them by 3. So, if I have 2 yards times 3, I would end up with 6 feet. So in the box over here, it wants us to put 2 yards and 6 feet. Next one here says take 3 yards to feet. 3 times 3 is 9. And on the last box, it just wants us to put that in ratio of 3 feet is 9 yards. Next one here says take 4 and multiply it by 3 and we get 12. So every 4 yards is equal to 12 feet. And then the last one here is 5 times 3, which is 15. So if you wanted 5 yards of something, you're actually looking for 15 feet as well. Number 4 here, I'm going to draw our arrows for us. Yards to inches. Again, we're going from something large to something small, so we need to multiply. And our magic number that we needed to remember to get from yards to inches was 36. For every yard that you have 36 inches. So again, we're going to have to do a little bit of multiplication here. We're going to have to take our 2 yards and multiply it by our 36 inches. And we would end up with 72. So in the last box here, it wants us to take and write that 2 yards is 72 inches. And if we continue down the chart, we would get 4 times 36 equals 144. 5 times 36 equals 180. And 8 times 36 equals 288. Sorry, it's a little tough to make them look really pretty. I'm trying to write on the screen using my fingers, so it's 288. And again, you could put those all over here within the brackets. On these next one here, we're going from something large, again, to something small. So you need to remember when we're going from feet to inches, our magic number that we need to remember is the number 12. So we're going to take our feet, which is 3, and we're going to times it by our 12, which equals 36. For the next one, we're going to take our 6, and we're going to times it by our 12, and we're going to get 72. And we can continue on down the chart. I think you're catching on what we need to do, though. So we will stop with these charts here. You can continue to fill them in 9 times 12 and 12 times 12 if you want to. Now on chart number 6, it gets a little tricky here. It wants us to go from something large, like the mile, to something little, like the feet. Now, this is not a number that we had talked about or written down or measured, but if you go back to page 703, if you printed it off, or if you can scroll back from yesterday, it tells us that there are 5,280 feet in a mile. Again, that's 5,280 feet in a mile. And we're going from the mile, which is large, to something small, which is the feet. So that means we're going to have to multiply. So for here, it wants us to do 5,280 times 1, and any number times 1 is itself, so it's 5,280. So if I was told I need to run 2 miles, I would take my 2 times my 5,280. I'd get 10560. So I'd get 10,560. Again, to get to the next one, I'd take 3 times 5,280, and I'd multiply it by 3, and I'd end up with 15,840. So if I told you you need to go run 3 miles, and you don't know how to measure in miles, but you do know how to measure in feet, you would know that you would have to measure 15,400 or 840 feet. And then the last one, 4 times 5,280 equals 21,120. Again, over here in this box, it just wants you to write those in. I don't have enough space here, but if you had this printed off, you would put your 5,280 there, you'd put your comma, and then you'd put your 1 mile, and so on and so forth. Alright, here it wants us to find the unknown. I want you to pay attention to the word algebra here. So you are doing algebra in this section, and you don't know it. So we're going to do this for us. We are going from feet to inches, so we need to think, alright, going from feet to inches, what is the magic number we need to memorize? And if you've thought about it, you would know that here, in the customary unit of measure, you got to remember the number 12. And we're going from something large, the foot, to something small, like the inches. So, we are going to need to, multiply. So, 11 times 12, if I do my math up, I'd get 132. Next one is, I'm going from yards to feet. I need to think about what my magic number is, which is 3. Since I'm going from something large to something small, my number should be getting bigger, so I need to multiply. And my outcome would be 54. If you do not have a calculator for you, you can always use Google as a calculator. I don't expect you to memorize how to do these multiplication problems. Calculators are here for us, so we should use them to our advantage. Alright, on the next one here, it tells us it wants to take 2 1/3 yard and turn it into feet, so we're going from large to small, which means multiply. And the magic number we need to remember here is 3. Now, if you're using a calculator on Google, what you need to do is you need to first figure out, okay, what is 1/3 as a decimal, because Google doesn't let you put in fractions. And the way you do that is by taking the number 1 and you divide it by 3, because all fractions look like a division symbol, and you would get 0.333333, and if it could, it would go on forever. It would never end. So you would need to do that, and then you would need to add back on the 2, so you would have 2.33333333. That's how you would put 2 1/3 in if you were using Google for your calculator. If you're using just a standard calculator, you could type in the 1 divided by 3 and click add 2. If you're using a scientific calculator and it's pretty fancy, there should be a button that says A, B, C. What that allows you to do is that allows you to enter in a mixed number, or that's a number with a fraction. So you would take 2, you would hit that ABC button, you would type in the 1, you would click that ABC button, and you would click 3. And now on your screen you have 2 and 1/3 already written in your screen for you. So those are 3 different ways depending on which calculators you have. So after we get 2 and 1/3 in our calculator, we're going to multiply that by the 3 feet that are in a yard, and we would find out that you have 7 feet. Alright, the bottom ones here are saying how many times longer is 1 yard than a foot. Keyword here is times. That helps us out. And also we need to remember these 2 numbers, yard and foot. So if we think about it, and all those numbers they make us memorize, you would remember that to get from feet to yard, our magic number we need to memorize is 3. Next one says times longer, and we've got mile and foot. If we look back up here to number 6, we would know that our number that we need to memorize for that is 5,280. Number 12 says shorter. So when it's shorter, we should think division, because we're going from something small, like the inch, to something larger, like the foot. So how many times shorter is it? Well, it is 12 times shorter, because it takes 12 inches to make a foot. And the last one says take your foot and go to a yard, and the magic number we need to remember there is 3. It is 3 times shorter than that. So let's go on to the next page. We'll do a couple of these word problems together. To keep this recording long, I'm going to just choose a couple of them. I'm going to do number 14 here and number 17 down here. If you want to do the other 15, 16, and number 18, go ahead and give those a try. Today at 2 o'clock, I do have or not today. Yeah, sorry, it would be today at 2 o'clock. I have my Zoom online, so if you want to try those and you have questions, come onto the Zoom, and you are free to ask any questions that you want, so I can help you out there. Alright, it says Ramiro sits. We're on number 14 here. Ramiro sits 5.5 feet from the bookshelf. Michelle sits 64 inches from the bookshelf. Who sits closer? Well, it's really tough to tell the difference in who is closer because one guy sits in feet, the other guy's sitting in inches. So who is actually closer? The only way we can do it is to change either our feet to inches or our inches into feet. Both ways are going to work because we need to compare them in feet and inches. You can't compare apples and oranges, so we need to just make them into one fruit. I'm going to take my feet here, my 5.5 feet, and I'm going to convert that to inches. So if you remember, to do that, to go from inches to feet, or to go from feet to inches, we need to remember the magic number is 12. And we're going from something large to something small, so we're going to need 2 times. So on your calculator, you need to type in 5.5, which, if you want to do it quickly, I can tell you it's 5.5. And we can multiply that 5.5 by 12, and we would end up with the great number of 66. So, Ramiro is sitting 5.5 feet, or we could say 66 inches. Now we can compare his distance with Michelle's, because Michelle is sitting 64. If I were to set those up, 66 or 64, who would Pac-Man prefer to eat? Well, he would prefer to eat Ramiro because he is the larger number, but the question is who sits closer. So closer means we would want to find out which one's smaller, and that is Michelle. She sits closer. Number 17 down here at the bottom says Darren is 4 feet 10 inches tall. His brother is 68 inches tall. How many inches taller is Darren's brother than Darren? Okay, like we did up top here in number 14, we could either look at them both in inches or both of them in feet. However, right down here it says how many inches taller is Darren's brother. So, we automatically know we need to convert Darren's measurement of 4 feet 10 inches into inches altogether. Now, we do not need to convert our inches into inches. We can forget about those for right now. We need to take our feet and make them inches. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to come down here to the bottom. We're going to take our 4 times the 12, and we're going to equal 48. Now, he is 48 inches. That's if he were only 4 feet. We can't forget about the 10 inches up here at the top, so we need to bring them back. We need to bring them back by adding them. And 48 plus 10 equals 58. So Darren is actually 58 inches tall, and his brother is 68. So it says how many inches taller? We're going to have to do a subtraction problem here. We're going to have to take 68 minus 58, and we would equal 10. So he is 10 inches taller. Alright, so thank you for joining me to work on these problems. I hope you got them done. If I went too fast, do not be afraid. You can always ask me. Remember, today at 2 o'clock, I will have a Zoom meeting open for 45 minutes. You can come in with these questions if you have any that you want. Also, if you look on Planbook, I have listed down at the bottom under attachment, I have the customary measured length homework. That's 2 pages. You're free to go ahead, open those up, download them, and work on those problems as well. You can then ask me any questions that you want, and we can look at them. After that, I wanted to give you a heads up that on Wednesday we're going to be going to converting the customary measure, so we're going to go over some problems like that. We'll cover that on Wednesday and Thursday, and then again on Thursday I will have a Zoom meeting. So thank you for joining me this morning, and I hope I get to see you this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Have a great day.